skater boy, I said see you later boy. Hey besties and welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be doing my every fortnightly, my every second monthly reading wrap up. Today is a very exciting one because I have had 3 5-star reads in the past 2 months, which I don't think I've had that many in quite a while. I've gotten very picky as I've continued reading. So yeah, I'm very excited to share these books with you and hopefully you maybe get some recommendations. Maybe you'll find some new favorite reads as well. And yeah, if you do enjoy this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And now let's get into it. So the first 2 books that I read in May was Haunting and Hunting Adeline. This duet, oh my god. I did vlog my entire experience reading these 2 books, but it does include spoilers, so I will give you like a brief synopsis, a brief summary of my thoughts and feelings here as well. Now, I'm sure most of you have probably heard about these 2 books and a lot of you have probably read them as well, but just in case you haven't, the cat and mouse duet follows Addie and Zaid. Addie inherits her grandmother's old spooky mansion and with it comes a whole lot of secrets. Beginning with the fact that her great-grandmother had a stalker and ending with a murder, but I'm not going to tell you who. Addie also happens to catch the attention of Zaid at one of her book signings, who is kind of like a badass guy trying to eradicate human trafficking. Zaid has a very strange way of showing his interest in Addie. However, instead of just whining and dining her like a normal guy, he decides that it would be a better idea to just look around her house, leave her roses, and essentially just scare the crap out of her. That doesn't even begin to scratch the surface of what happens in this duet, but I went into it blind and I had the time of my life discovering everything for myself, and I think that is the way you should do it, with the exception of checking trigger warnings, because this shit is dark and includes every content warning under the sun. But I will in the description leave links to a website where there is content warnings for both Haunting and Hunting Adeline, because I would really recommend checking those out if these 2 books are piquing your interest, because there's some messed up stuff in there is all I'm gonna say. But yeah, I love these 2. It was honestly just such a wild ride. I will admit it took me a while to get even halfway into Haunting Adeline, just because I was busy and like not really in the mood to read. But once I like got over that halfway mark and the story really started picking up, I could not put this duet down, and I wound up finishing the entire 2 books in like 2 or 3 days. It consumed every one of my thoughts. It was just insane, and the amount of emotions I went through while reading these 2 books is insane. I gave them both 5 stars if I didn't already say that, and I'd probably give them a 4 out of 5 on the spicy scale, because it doesn't get, oh, would I give it a 4? I might give it a 4.5. And for anyone who is new here, my spicy scale is essentially just a way of me rating the amount and also the kind of like intensity of the smut in my books. So I typically rate on how much there is to a certain extent, and then when we start getting up towards the like 4.5, that's when things get juicy, get a little bit kinky, and yeah. I hope that kind of makes sense. I feel like it's a little bit self-explanatory, but yeah, on to the next book. So next up I read Mile High by Liz Tomford. I gave this one a 3-star and a 2.5 out of 5 on my spicy scale. This one is kind of a tricky one for me to rate because I love the characters, I love the entire premise of the plot, but the writing was just, it got very slow and repetitive, and it did really end up impacting my experience with the book. I also unfortunately found myself having to skim these sex scenes and like just read dialogue because they were just a bit cringy. But I love the characters and I wanted to read that about them, but it's like, it was written really cringy. Oh my god, do you see my dilemma with this book? I love the characters, love the plot, but the writing just let me down. Anyway, so Mile High follows Xanders, who is a hotshot hockey player with a bit of a playboy persona, and Stevie, who is one of the newest and permanent additions to their flight attendant crew. And so, being that Stevie is now a new addition and a permanent addition to the flight attendant crew, she will be on every single one of Xander's privately chartered flights. That is essentially the entire plot of this book, with a little bit of forbiddenness, a little bit of forced proximity thrown in there. I will say this book did have some really fantastic mental health representation in Xander's, which I love to see, and also some plus size representation in Stevie, which was just fantastic. I will admit, despite not loving this book, I'm really excited to read The Right Move, because everyone that I've talked to about this series has said that The Right Move is like leaps and bounds better. So I'm holding out hope that I'm gonna love that one. So next up, I discovered a new Mafia series, which I am wholly obsessed with and I cannot wait to continue. I read the first book in the Boston Underwood series. This is Crow by Jasper Vale. I gave this one a 4-star and a 3 out of 5 on my spicy scale. Crow follows Mackenzie as she attempts to infiltrate the Irish Mafia of Boston on a mission to uncover why her friend disappeared. Mac begins working as kind of like a bottle girl and also a dancer at the club, and she very quickly garners the attention of Crow, who is sort of like second in command, but just one of the higher up guys in the organization. I quite enjoyed this book and I loved the wide array and wide cast of characters. I will admit Mac was a little bit irritating to begin with, but she definitely did grow on me and kind of come into her own. I will also say there's something a little bit funny about these books in that Jasper Vale writes the Irish accent into the guys' dialogue. So instead of you, they will say like ye. And I will admit it did, for the first sort of like half of the book, it did take me out of the story a little bit, but I got used to it and it didn't end up impacting my experience really that much. So yeah, that's just a little something that was a little bit of a quirk for this series, but it was still fun. So next up, I followed up Crow with the second book in the series. I read Reaper, again by Jasper Vale. I gave this one a 4.25 stars and a 3 out of 5 on the spicy scale. Reaper follows Ronan and Sasha. Sasha is another one of the dancers at their club and she actually befriended Mac pretty early on in Crow. And Ronan is essentially Crow's second-hand man and takes on the enforcer role of the organization. Ronan is this super hardened guy as a result of some pretty traumatic childhood experiences, but he has this like real fascination with Sasha and they do actually have a shared history. This book is dual timeline, but I don't know how much I want to delve into that because I don't want to spoil anything about it, but let's just say they have history together and it makes things complicated. This one is really, really good, and if you were a fan of Twisted Emotions and Twisted Bonds by Cora Riley, if you like Nina and Kiara in that series, you will absolutely love Ronan in this one. He is so similar to Nino in that he's very morally grey, emotionally grey. But he's like a big softie on the inside. Oh my god, and there's a corgi in this book. He adopts a corgi. That was probably my favourite part of this entire book, is when these two like big badass mafia guys go to a pet store with a corgi. Oh my god. Overall, I would just really, really recommend this Boston Underworld series if you're in the market for a new mafia obsession. They are both under 300 pages, I believe. Yes, they are. And they're very fast-paced, very entertaining, and I can't wait to keep reading the series. Next up, we have Jasper Vale by Devney Perry. I gave this one a 4-star and a 2.5 out of 5 on the spicy scale. Jasper Vale follows Jasper, who is a boxing instructor with a scarred past. He's actually Foster's boxing instructor from Garnet Flats. And it follows his relationship with Eloise, who is on a mission to persuade her parents to finally let her take the reins on the Eloise Hotel. Now the two find themselves on a night out in Vegas and have the bright idea to get married. The next morning, of course, they have regrets. They realize how stupid of an idea it was to get married. However, they come to this kind of realization and figure out that the both of them could actually use this marriage to their advantage, and of course it becomes a marriage of convenience. Gonna be totally honest here, I thought I was gonna hate this book. I really did not like Jasper's character in Garnet Flats, and I wasn't like that invested in Eloise's character either, but I kind of ended up loving it. I don't necessarily think it's anything super special or groundbreaking, but it's just a really fun, easy, quick read. I will admit Jasper was a little bit frustrating at times when he would just like refuse to communicate, but I kind of came to understand throughout the book that that's just his character, and I sort of forgave him for it a little bit. Overall, I still think this one was a fun, decent, good read, and I'm really, really looking forward to Crimson River and Sable Peak. Next up, I'm going to talk about When She Unravels by Gabrielle Sands, because this one was on my May TBR. However, I got a little bit over halfway before deciding to not finish it. The beginning was so promising, and then the middle just kind of sagged and really didn't pick back up. This one follows our heroine, who I can't even remember her name. Valentina? I think it might have been Valentina. It follows her escape from her husband. She then winds up in Ibiza, broke and desperate for a job, and consequently stumbles into Damiano's club. Gonna be honest, I might finish this one eventually just for the sake of my Goodreads goal, but yeah, it's not bad by any means, just a little bit boring. And to round out a pretty decent 2 months, we have my favorite read, possibly second favorite read of the entire year. We have Rewrite Our Story by Kat Singleton. I gave this one a massive 5 stars. If I could give it infinity stars, I would absolutely do that. And I gave it a 3.5 out of 5 on my spicy scale. I read this one in my Annotate With Me vlog. As you can see, there is heaps of annotations, heaps of tabs. And yeah, I went kind of more in depth into the plot in that video, and I included a few of my reactions to some pretty big moments in this one. This book is so good, oh my god. To summarize though, Rewrite Our Story is a small town, childhood friends to lovers to enemies to lovers, brother's best friend, second chance romance. In the present, Marigold is back in town after fleeing to college with a broken heart. The circumstances for Mare being back in town, however, are less than ideal, as Cade and Pippa's mother and Mare's stand-in mum has unfortunately passed away. Cade is Marigold's first love, the childhood friends to lovers aspect in this book, and Pippa is Cade's younger sister and Marigold's best friend. There is a whole lot of tension and angst and grief and anger and hostility in the present chapters of this book, where in the past it's a really adorable kind of like summer fling, summer of falling in love between Cade and Marigold. I absolutely adore this book so much, and the past and present chapters were just so perfectly aligned. I'm usually someone who is like itching to get back to the present chapters and like despises the past chapters, but in this one I could, like, I'm gonna be honest, in the early book I had a preference for the past chapters because there was so much hostility in the present, and the past was just these adorable protective moments. And then like as we got further into the book and the past became hostile and the present became like more cute and like romantic, oh my god. Yeah, this book is just simply unmatched, and it will absolutely be making it to my favorites list of 2023. I also happen to be in the market. Sorry, I just got a notification about my uni oncology course. I also happen to be in the market for some more small town cowboy romances. So if you have any recommendations that is not this one, not Elsie Silver, and not Devney Perry, I would love to hear them. I also just want to quickly mention all of the books that I started at the end of May but didn't quite finish. I started Tempt by Melanie Harlow, I started Say You Swear by Megan Brandy, and I also started Come Morning Light by Charlotte Day, which is releasing on the 12th of June. It's releasing on the 12th of June. It's very fun. I can't wait to tell you about it in my June wrap up. Yeah, I really hope you've enjoyed today's video. The past 2 months were not the best for me, but I'm still proud of all of the books that I managed to get through while juggling uni and work. And yeah, I'm really hoping to read some more in the next month because I'm getting my wisdom teeth out. So I'm gonna have a little bit of extra time, a little bit of time off to hopefully just like lay in bed and read my books. But yeah, if you did enjoy today's video, please don't forget to like, comment and subscribe because I would love to have you here, and keep an eye out for a potential reading vlog on that bad boy. I'm not gonna put a date on it because I haven't even started reading, but just keep an eye out, okay? I'm entering my fantasy era very shortly. But yeah, thank you so much for watching for like the 3rd time, and I will hopefully see you in the next one. Bye!